Hi everyone, thanks for joining. We'll get started. So my name is Lior Cohen. I'm responsible for cloud security products and solutions at Fortinet. I'm going to walk you through a little bit of a journey in information security from our on-premise days into the cloud and how things are changing, primarily from a business priority standpoint. And highlight a little bit of what we're doing for our customers in this regard. So I've been in the information security and infrastructure space since 96 now, so it's quite a few years, and I've definitely been witnessing a lot of changes. So just before I start, want to make sure you all take a red little ticket coupon so you be part of the raffle for these amazing Bose headset. So make sure you do that. So that being said, the topic of the presentation today is cloud security a sum-zero game? And really, I actually heard in Joy Chick's presentation on the first day of the show, she was bringing up the concept of productivity versus security, that they're always kind of counteracting each other in organizations. And I actually been working this concept quite a while. She tied it up with identity as kind of what bridges these together. And effectively, the way we're seeing it, and it's been that way for pretty much a long time, is that the cloud is really the agent of change in terms of business velocity, in terms of implementing new applications, in terms of being able to offer new capabilities for the business to run faster by the IT, and the IT kind of turning from that spot of kind of, hey, it'll take a few more weeks, to more like, we're going to do these things fast. So that kind of probably the ubiquity of the cloud being everywhere and always available, and kind of that on-demand nature are some of the attributes that really contribute to this. But on the other hand, security is in many cases still that hey, you can't do that, you can't do this, it's not according to policy, it's not according to procedures, you're introducing new risks to the organization, and that's been fairly a common notion in enterprises and in businesses in general. And in order to really unleash the effect, kind of the impact that cloud computing can have, we have to increase the confidence of and being able to deploy applications fast in the cloud, but fast and secure. And this is where Fortinet comes in. We're here to help our customers in this journey. And the way it is, and I'll shift to just a little bit of what security in the cloud is. So cloud, we're all familiar with the shared responsibility model, really, right? The cloud provider takes care of giving us a very secure set of services in order to utilize and build our business applications. But anything we touch in the cloud, it's our responsibility. We put data in the cloud, we build applications in the cloud. Anything of this nature, it's really our responsibility, and we need to make sure to secure that. In fact, analysts are assessed that around 95% of failures in the cloud are related to human error. And it's really about the user that's, in many cases, maybe not configuring something all the way to the end, or it's really a lot of our responsibility. And we're at Fortinet, we see our mission to help our users be able to build more secure clouds. And the way we're doing it is we're really putting a lot of effort in three main security pillars. And the first pillar is we want to offer security to be natively integrated into the cloud. All the security functionality needs to be fully native in the cloud, and this comes to play with three different capabilities that we develop and we pursued and we provide to our customers. Connectors that present all cloud resources, topologies, labels, tags, instances, and so on to the security infrastructure in a native way, so you can define policy consistently. Stitches that allow our security systems to leverage cloud-based automation and services for all kinds of automation scenarios. We'll talk about that a little bit more moving forward. And then APIs. All of our systems have full APIs, so you can really orchestrate and integrate them into application lifecycle flows and so forth. So native integration is the first pillar. The second one is that broad integration, kind of being able to offer the variety of different protection technologies across your public cloud, Azure, as well as your on-premise. You want to have that same level of security, all the different products. You want to have the ability to do a multi-layer security with different like next generation firewalls, web application firewalls, mail security gateways, sandboxing technology, pretty much all these technologies you want to have and be able to deploy across the cloud. And ultimately, by being kind of having that native integration with a broad set of tool sets, you can really get to realize the kind of that visibility. You have that visibility into the cloud. You build that control over the cloud, and you can start defining policies that are consistent across and kind of meet your regulation requirements and so on. And you have to have your different security management tools available on the cloud. So a bunch of these tools as well, but it's also having the security management tools available on the cloud, but more importantly, being able to manage the cloud network security elements or infrastructure security elements and the cloud security itself that's offered by the platform. A little bit about how this looks like from an architectural standpoint. So you'd often want to group security services such that they can serve multiple different departments and business units. So you want to give the business units that ability to run fast, develop applications, deploy new technologies, but still give them that ability to have the shared set of services available. So typically what we're seeing is we're kind of grouping a lot of security functionality in form of different instances into a services hub for security, and that services hub provides a lot of security functionality. It provides VPN connectivity, whether it's site-to-site, VPN concentration, remote access VPN for users, and so on. It also provides a variety of next generation firewall capabilities, again, web application firewalls, mail gateways, and so on. So it's very convenient to consolidate this into a central place, while also some of the management functionality. No, this doesn't work. The management functionality can also be placed in the cloud as well, especially in very large distributed organizations. We're seeing more and more leveraging the cloud for placing management systems. They're pretty resource hungry, so you can manage multiple tens and hundreds of different locations running security systems from the cloud. That's also a very common use case. And effectively, what we're trying to enable our customers and helping them with is the ability to implement consistent security policies across all these different locations, cloud, on-premise, and so on. Offer the ability to implement multi-layer security, protect at the network layer, across the OSI stack, if for us that are familiar, at the application layer, and be able to offer advanced applications protection services as well. And then at the end of the day, it's all about being able to streamline the security operations and really integrate with the existing and emerging DevOps streams, the existing and emergent application lifecycle related activities, and so on. So being able to comply with this new form of consuming IT and building IT is very important, and it's only possible because of the fact that you can provide these different pillars of security and integration. And I'll go into a few different use cases that we're seeing our customers implement. One of the use cases is the basic, I'd say, inside-out cloud security. So we're seeing customers implement 40 client on the hosts. It can run on Linux hosts, Windows, Linux machines, servers, Windows servers, instances that are running in Azure Cloud, and then for the running the internal segmentation and compliance of these hosts themselves. Then the next layer is protecting what comes in and out of the cloud with FortiGate VMs, right? And then some control of the API layer of acceptable usage of different resources that are in the cloud and so on with the FortiCASB. So the FortiCASB protecting from that control plane side, FortiGate VM from a data plane side, kind of what comes in and out of the cloud being more considered as a north-south, and then the integrity of virtual machines and internal firewalling done with FortiClients is kind of that basic level use case of inside-out security in the cloud that we're seeing. Another use case for cloud security that we're seeing is the advanced application protection. Advanced application protection, especially when applications are dealing with really unsolicited information and files that are not being controlled, and there are people are up, maybe HR websites, people uploading sites, mail with a lot of attachments, any applications that are require compliance to some regulations, etc. So the ability to run them through dedicated web application firewalls and mail security gateways with the integration of a 40 sandbox to protect from potential zero-day attacks is something that we're also seeing more interest. And this is true also in more cloud-native environments that are not that lift and shift typical application, but just sitting in front of your applications that may even be built in the form of using more platform as a service functionality, etc. Just point the traffic through this capability. The next scenario, which kind of builds on top of the advanced application protection, but is more at the infrastructure layer, is our Cloud Services Hub. And the Cloud Services Hub is really an entity, likely a VNet that's running in a region, in a certain region or across regions in the cloud, that will be able to service multiple VNets, multiple regions, and potentially multiple locations. It supports all kinds of scenarios such as SD-WAN, to concentrate functionality and before it goes out to the internet. Again, the same scenario that we talked before of multiple organizational units developing their own set of functionality, and being able to kind of run fast but just plug into this shared security services center, and it really allows a lot of flexibility for different organizations to build a kind of a secure, keep running fast but maintain that level of security that they need. The next use case is that infrastructure as a service and platform as a service protection. In cases where you're less concerned about the inline traffic of the VMs, etc., but you want to make sure that you have more consistent configuration assessment, configuration policies, usage policies, and so on. The ability to protect infrastructure as a service and platform as a and software as a service, different applications with a CASB solution is also something very important to give you a lot of visibility into what's happening at that management plane layer of your cloud applications as well. So another very common use case that we're seeing. In many cases, it goes very much hand in hand with deployment of FortiGates on site and so on, because there's a lot of, at the end of the day, it's the same users that are using the same application, so the ability to correlate information comes very handy for security professionals. Next is security management, and I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but very large branch deployments, multiple branch, retail chains, etc. They're finding it more attractive to actually manage their very large distributed deployment from the cloud versus from on-premise, because the cloud has some different attributes that make it very interesting, but the elasticity, kind of being able to add additional storage in the cloud, and that global placement of cloud resources that you can kind of mobilize things and position them in the right place, and some of the inherent services for achieving high availability. So this is also a very common use case that we're seeing. And then the last but not least is this remote access, and again, leveraging the same attributes, this global presence of the cloud worldwide is something that we're seeing organizations even having kind of, maybe even in such a conference, they'll put a remote access cluster closer to Orlando just for the conference, and they'll kind of tunnel all their users into that remote access location and have that location VPN, IPsec VPN back into their headquarters or data centers or whatnot. But just being kind of that flexibility of the cloud is a very interesting attribute for remote access. So these are the key use cases that we're seeing from our customer side. Let's go into a little more about automation, because we mentioned that, I mean, these use cases are there, but if they're kind of built statically and not kind of in the speed of the cloud and not inherent to the cloud, it's a little bit, doesn't achieve that required or desired outcome that we said of kind of being able to accelerate the business with providing a more secure cloud adoption experience. So the first use case, from an automation standpoint, whenever you stage new application, new security functionality, you want to be able to automate the initial deployment, right? So the way we're doing it is through ARM templates on Azure, and it offers you a few benefits. One is it saves time, of course. The other is it gives you the ability to tap into best practices from the get-go. get best practices from the get-go. Very easy to kind of get things going on without making kind of eliminates that potential human error, that learning curve that is needed. And it's also a good template to kind of take out its really code, then redeploy it and integrate it with additional or other application deployment scenarios that you're going with, and kind of integrate that security into it. So bringing kind of whenever a new application comes up, you want to have the ability to deploy new security functionality. Configuration templates is a great way to do that. We have a variety of these. Some of them are available through the Azure Marketplace. Some of them are available as a solution offering. Some of them are available on the Fortinet GitHub repository that you can go ahead, download, play with them, and see what the different options that they provide are. And again, this is the first building block from automation. You want to bolt on or kind of build in security into any of your workflows that are going on in deploying new applications in the cloud, really. The second use case is kind of more leveraging the native services of the cloud, right? And we can, one example here that I'm showing is the auto-scaling. So since we want auto-scaling in our applications, so obviously, and for obvious reasons, one, that seasonality of application usage, but also beyond that, it's also the being very optimized in a cost structure as well. So auto-scaling is a great solution for these options. And the ability to have security comply with auto-scaling in the same way is also very important. And again, you want your applications and your security to behave in a similar manner so you can really realize the benefits of the cloud. And it's not about the applications run at one speed and your application runs in a different speed. So being able to auto-scale, also very important. I'm assuming many of you are familiar with auto-scaling. And the different templates that we have for auto-scaling or for other HA capabilities, etc., also can all be found at our Azure repository on GitHub. So for more information there. Then to kind of put this into a more interesting use case, I'll go into a little bit more details with FortiSandbox. So FortiSandbox, to those of you who are a little less familiar, is our zero-day protection, advanced protection system that really runs potentially malicious code or any kind of attachments or files and payloads, and it will go in it will run them on their native environment and see if they have any malicious payload embedded into them, right? And this is very effective in zero-day protection. It does really what it does is it extracts from any potential sequence of operations that happen that are triggered by that potentially malicious file. It will kind of track what is the payload looking like, what are the hash and kind of binary identifiers of the code, where is it trying to connect out to, etc. So it's a pretty advanced zero-day protection, and the way it is doing it at one level is there are three modes of operation. There's a native mode of operation that if you have a FortiGate or a FortiWeb or a FortiMail appliance, they will communicate with it natively using OFTP, right? So that's the first mode of operation. There's another mode of operation which is supported through our Fortinet toolkit that you can automate your own web services calls to the flow whenever you feel that it's right to send specific files. So you just kind of build API-driven posting of payloads. Again, this can be potentially a HR application, as an example I've used before. Whenever there's a submission of a file, you would want that submission of a file to go first of all to the FortiSandbox, and then the FortiSandbox makes a determination whether this file is accepted or not before you're actually accepting this file and storing it internally. And then the third mode is more automated ways of autonomously, let's say, scanning repositories of file. So one option could be Blob, Azure Blob, to continuously monitor an Azure Blob bucket, and whenever new files come, to scan them. If they do not contain any malicious payload, then you'd keep them where they are, and if they do, you may put them in a more quarantined bucket or something along those lines. So those are the three options of modes of operation. The way it works is that effectively the sandbox, whenever it receives a new file, it sees, okay, is this a Windows file, Linux file, and so on. It will go out to Azure, it will spin up a new instance automatically, it will, once that instance is up, it will send this file to that instance, it will execute that file, and based on the results of the execution, it will then make a determination of whether this is a malicious file or not. It will validate this against our FortiGuard services labs and against known patterns of behavior for malicious files. So it gives a lot of flexibility in terms of deployment. It gives a lot of options in terms of integrating your security into your application lifecycle. We're seeing a lot of interest also from managed services around this service, etc. And you can see from an API standpoint, it's pretty simple. You pretty much just name the file, you push it up as a JSON payload, and it's very easy to, the set of responses are pretty much determined, and you can, based on these responses, also decide what's the next step to do with these capabilities. With regards to the blob integration, it's easy to integrate this with the Azure functions currently. So there are a few templates that are very easy to integrate if you're thinking of it from both kind of uploading to JSON, getting back with Azure functions and blob integration. Very, very nice and simple way to integrate this capability. And that's pretty much the end here, is like with these different automation capabilities that we're offering, and being able to integrate security and automate security, that's really what we're here to help our customers, kind of building that security together with your operational application development lifecycle flows, DevOps routines and sequences, in order to increase the confidence there of your cloud adoption and kind of secure that cloud adoption journey for customers without compromising the speed at which you can implement applications. So, and if to go back to Michael Hodgkinson comment a little earlier this week as well in the security session from British Petroleum, he was mentioning we want to make security more accessible and easier for our users, and we want to stay ahead of the game. So we think really that automating security, that's the key to unlock that and to kind of keep more control, because the more you're proactive, the more at the end of the day new operations, new applications will run through the security infrastructure, and the more you'll be in the position of helping the organization really. So for more information about our security solutions, feel free to go to Security Solutions on Azure, of course. Fortinet.com/Azure. That's you'll see a very large variety of information there, and you're more than welcome. We encourage you to read through and download some trial and demo capabilities there, and we're here to help. So thank you.